Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you always on a Monday with Combo, as always, to discuss everything latest and greatest in the NBA, including the hottest team, the best record, all manner of things that is a surprise. But Combo, how's it going today?
All is well. A lot of work, a lot of recordings, a lot of content, and I'm happy to be here on the B-Ball Breakdown live show. Are you in, Coach Nick? Coach Nick, are you in?
Well, you are the hardest working man in NBA content online, so let's not.
Oh, really? Wow. Coming from Coach Nick, that means a lot.
I would think so. Yeah, I think you get the most and get the most out there. So great to see everybody out there. And don't forget, if you're looking to keep this show going, it would really help us if you want to and you want your question answered. We put it on the screen and give you a lot of love if you do the super chat on the YouTube side. So don't forget to try and do that if you can. If you're over on Twitter, come over to YouTube. What's the difference? You might as well watch it there. You get a chance to ask a question and we can answer it for you. So. Let's discuss what we have on the title of the thing, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers are sitting atop the Eastern Conference. I don't think I had that on my bingo card before the season started. Did you?
Interestingly, no, I didn't. And also, people have been asking me, like, what are they doing differently? And I kind of came up with the same answer that you were talking to me about before the recording. It doesn't look like anything too different besides, Mobley got better as a basketball player. And their two all-star guards are just healthy and playing together. Yeah. And they're dominant. So I don't think there's anything too crazy going on. But with Kenny Atkinson, we saw with the Nets, like he can maximize what he has. He led a Dinwiddie and D'Lo-led team to a lot of wins and very successful seasons. So yeah, this team is very interesting.
And the vibes are really good too, which I think is important. Yes. And so, what you're seeing on offense isn't much different. It's, everyone else is sort of running the same thing as well. 5 out, spreading the floor, and then basically running like one action. Either it's a handoff in the wing or it's a step-up screen in the wing, and then just sort of creating an advantage right away. Yeah. And when you have Garland and when you have Mitchell, you're going to create an advantage pretty quickly. And so that's what's pretty much, they're like kind of getting right to it right away. Their pace is a lot better than it was last year. So that's something different. And then you just have shooters all over the place. They're not shooting a ton of threes, believe it or not, but they're shooting at a high rate and so in high efficiency. So that's something that probably Kenny would be looking at and saying, we got to get more threes up, guys, because we got a bunch of 40% shooters right now, and we want to, maximize that more. But at the very least, it's the passing is actually down as well. They're making a lot less passes than they did last year per game. But the passes could very well be. I got to check maybe like the potential assist passes, because I feel like they're obviously then the what's the word I'm looking for? In terms of their passes are more impactful, right? They're more often to make the pass, to get the shot, and to get a good look at a basket. So versus just maybe passing on the perimeter back and forth and racking up high passes per game numbers. So it's just more efficient on that end. And so it's been tough. My fear, though, is that, with the 5-0 offense that they're running, I would imagine now we have some sample size of 7, 8, 9, 10 games. You're going to see defenses adjust a little bit differently. And I would imagine that they might struggle a little bit. They'll have a little bit of a lull here where they're not going to be just lighting it up and scoring so easily.
Do you think the cheat code now is getting great shots at the rim, since the cheat code used to be with the Warriors that were getting up a lot of threes?
Great question. And really quickly there, the Cavs are second in offensive rating. And by the way, they're fifth in defensive rating, which is like title contention when you have those two things. But so what was the question again?
Do you think the cheat code now is getting easy shots at the rim because the NBA has become such a heavy three-point league, where the cheat code used to be with the Warriors that they were just getting up more threes and shooting a high efficiency? Right. Now that everybody's doing it, you're giving them a different look. And we all know the highest value shot in basketball is the shot at the rim, right? Right. It's more valuable than the three. They're just harder to get easy looks like that, but
I mean, okay, so let's talk about personnel wise too, because we have Mobley out there and he rolls a lot. Although, again, he's shooting 40% from three. We definitely want to spotlight him. You mentioned him earlier, but he's improved offensively. I've been waiting for this moment, and he's improved. He's gotten better. Turnovers are not as egregious as they used to be. Finishing at the basket is a lot better, too. He's got the jump hook he's kind of always had, but it's like he's going to that even more. And he's more aggressive offensively, which is really helpful for them in the paint. So there's one thing. Jarrett Allen is that threat as well at the basket, which has always been there. I think that maybe the cheat code, because like the Celtics, and the Warriors, like a lot of teams are trying to break 50% from 3-point frequency this year, which we hadn't seen for a few years. But I think it's just the kind of threes, right? You got to be able to generate good threes. And now the best threes are the ones when you draw actually on offensive rebound kickouts, right? Those are the best generally. I haven't seen that number in like a couple of years, but it used to be,
it's because it mimics the way we work out.
That's part of it. You're right. The other part of it is that the defense is scrambled. And then the third part is that you're already in line with the hoop when you're catching the ball from a basket area pass.
Right.
Which is also what you're talking about. That's how we do that. And I would recommend, if you're training players, don't be at the bottom of the hoop, because
100%.
Or
mix it up.
Well, mix it up, because 10% of your catches might be from the basket area. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's a really important, consideration when you're training, because you have to learn how to get your alignment when a pass is from the side, and both sides.
I remember overseas, a coach drew up a play where the pass always came from the post area to like mimic that. He felt like that was a reason that would like raise 3-point percentage.
Right. Well, and then so the second best would be post kick out. And then the third best is a drive into the lane and then kick.
Yeah. Like Nash was good at that, right? Like driving down, going around the rim, kicking out for three.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of guys are really good at that too, especially because, back in the day, you would never see a guy kind of get pretty close to the basket where he just should be shooting it and then fire it out for the three. And now that's very commonplace. It's a great way to get that extra point. And so that is probably the priority I'm seeing now. I mean, because everyone is now, again, doing the 5 out. It's sort of a, somebody must have done a clinic, and then everyone started taking notes, and now everyone is running it. But again, if you could shoot 100 threes in a game that are all good shots like we described, then you could take 100 threes.
I'm tying this all together because everybody's playing 5 out, and you mentioned Mobley's been rolling, and I think it's really important when you play 5 out to have rim gravity. Everybody talks about 3-point gravity, but rolling to the rim is so important when you're playing 5 out.
Yeah, really great point. And especially because when guys get a little bit too enamored with like picking and popping, it doesn't work as well, because you have to have the threat of the roll. That's what opens the pop. But if all you're doing is popping, you don't actually get that advantage. And so, those guys definitely roll a lot more and hard to the hoop and cause that havoc because it collapses the help. I definitely think that, like for instance, I was going through the Bucks to get ready for that video, hopefully tomorrow. And it's like their rotations are really bad, weak side wise, but it's probably because of the fear of whenever there's somebody rolling, they like feel like they have to come way too far over than they needed to, or Lopez was in position. So, but that sort of accentuates the point, which is that teams are so afraid of that they will be willing to, over rotate and get down too low, and then all of a sudden those closeouts are way longer. They're 3 feet longer than they would have been. And there are it used to be where you wouldn't have you might have 1 or 2 players on every team that didn't put the ball on the floor real well. I think that's changing, wouldn't you say?
Tell me more.
So I feel like, you have teams that like you have a guy, at least 1 or 2 guys who are spotting up and they just want to shoot it. They're not going to shot fake and drive to the basket, really. Well, now I think you have less and less of those players, and almost everybody now feels good about driving to the hoop and putting the ball on the floor.
I agree. I think it's becoming more of a read and react type game, and I'd say about even 5 to 8 years ago, you had more Danny Green type players. Even PJ Tucker's a guy, right? Like you just defend and knock down the corner 3.
Yeah,
I think teams are. The Nuggets probably change just a little bit with their read and react. Like everybody could put it on the floor a little bit. Obviously the Warriors too, but I think there's less specialists and more players that just could play basketball. And I think Ty Jerome's an underrated piece in all this because he's just a guy who could really play basketball. And he's another role player that they have on this team. So
yeah, I was looking at that. I mean, I was wanting to see because they got a couple of guys that are helping them playing, very small minutes. Ty Jerome's playing under 15 a game. But he's shooting.
But he's good to play with. He's fun to play with. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he is. I mean, I think he's a coach's son. He plays like a
Oh,
kid.
yeah. His coach is a friend of mine, Mark.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he's that guy who coaches love to watch play. Karis LeVert is also having a bit of a resurgence here. He's healthy and he's scorching. We've seen a bunch of guys who are just scorching from the 3-point line. He's actually making 52%, and they've only got him playing about 22 minutes a game. I'm sensing that it's like they're trying to protect him and keep him healthy. But I would imagine that number would go up a little bit more, as they progress. But they have other guys like Maryland Wade, and even like George Niang is probably going to end up shooting better. He's only at 32% right now, and Wade is lower too than 33%. So they have some room to grow on the 3-point percentages too. Although LeVert will go down, and probably Mobley will too. I don't know if Mobley's going to keep it above 41% like he is now. But it opens up a lot of space, and they don't need to run a lot of action here to get that advantage, and either to get that three or to get to the basket. So
what's Mobley? Wait, what's Mobley shooting 41% from?
41.7% from three, and he's taking.
Wow, really?
Taking. Oh no, never mind. He's taking 1.7 a game. I thought
yeah. Wow, that's a high percentage. In college, he wasn't really shooting them from deep, from what I remember. He was more like mid range,
And by the way, the beauty of all this is Donovan Mitchell is playing less than 30 minutes a game, which is huge for them to be able to protect him from overuse and potential injury. And he looks good. He looks like locked in his prime, ready to lead. I mean, listen, how many times did Donovan Mitchell lead a Western Conference team like to the top of the conference? Like with the Jazz, they had several seasons, if I'm not mistaken, where they were like 1 or 2 there, and he was an integral part of that. And so here we are again, and you got to pay attention to this guy as a, I suppose a potential MVP candidate if they continue this progress or this record.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell has been really good, and that matchup with him and Dame was really good. As much as the Bucks have been struggling, Dame looked like Dame that night, and Giannis looked like Giannis that night, and that was interesting because you would think the team that has been losing would have a little bit more motivation, right? Than a team that's already undefeated, even though they want to keep the winning streak alive. And the Cavs still found a way to win that game with a hungry Bucks team that were playing well and probably thinking we could turn things around at this point.
Very, very bad sign when you get 40 from Dame, 30
100%.
Plus Giannis,
100%.
And they can't win. And they only scored 113 points, even though they had the 70 plus combined. So, I'm looking at some of the numbers for the Bucks. If you want to get into that, again, the video should be good. And I'm wondering if it's, Doc gets a lot of crap. I've certainly done that video on him several times, why he gotten fired from different places. But this one is a little bit interesting because with the Bucks, the drop off after Dame and Giannis is so steep. It's steeper than any other team in the top of the East, at least. I'm looking at like the third leading scorer. For most of these teams are all, 17 points a game is the third leading scorer. Their third leading scorer is at 10 a game. And it's a huge drop off. They don't have much production after that. And it's rough because both offense and defense for the Bucks is bad. But there's also the vibes. Like we talked about, Kenny's vibe with the Cavs is really good. And I don't think it was great last year, right? The Cavaliers vibe was off. And that's probably part of the reason why Bickerstaff was dismissed. But the vibes around the Bucks, man, right? Like you could feel it from the TV just watching the broadcast.
Yeah, they definitely look like they're having fun. It's almost like the OKC of the East. And I think there was a reason why Bickerstaff was gone. And probably part of that reason was Donovan Mitchell. I don't think, from what I'm hearing, I don't know, it could be untrue that they didn't get along that much. And that's the reason why he's out of there, because, they were winning basketball games. It wasn't that reason. And then I thought Bickerstaff coached really well in the playoffs against the Celtics. He was doing really well, but it didn't seem to work out because of, that collaboration between the best player and the coach is so important in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, if you're not working on that every day to maintain that, then you're in trouble,
100%.
And I feel like, and JB is young. His father had been in the league all those times, and him shaped probably by that. So that was a little bit strange to me that he wouldn't have been able to maintain that, but it happens. He got hired again, so that's good, and he deserved another shot anyway. So that's that hopefully that chapter for him will be a good one too.
And Pistons are better, but it's not reflecting in the standings yet. But they're better. Jaden Ivey took a little leap. Cade Cunningham. Whenever I watch him play, all I think is like, this guy is really, really good at basketball. But it's not, it's not reflecting in the standings yet for some reason. But we have to wait and see.
You mean, the East is very tough now, and you need to have more players. They need to have better players, more players. It's tough, and that's what the Bucks are facing too. So now Middleton comes back. That actually, obviously it makes them better, but Middleton is a guy you really can't rely on anymore, and he seems to be perennially banged up. And when he's trying to play through that, he's not as good as we all know him to be. So he's had a lot of those stretches as well. So, do we even know what the Middleton injury update is? Let's do this live injury update. I figured I should have looked at this before. He's been ruled out. It looks like maybe ruled out of Monday's game tonight. He does not have a timetable. So, but they're talking about him as day to day. I'm trying to figure out what I'm forgetting. Is it his knee? This is not a good one to figure out. Oh no, sorry, both ankles, surgery to both ankles. So, we'll see how well that's going to recover. Have you ever had surgery on your ankle?
Never. Ankle, all knees.
Yeah.
Thank God, no ankles. That sounds terrible.
I don't know. Ankle surgery, I'm racking my brains right now to figure it out, but I don't think
I'm feeling like an ankle pain just from hearing that ankle surgery.
That might be a slower process to get back. Let's get to our first super chat, which is from King Jaffe Joffer. Thank you so much. Great to see you out here, King. Really, really appreciate it. And again, this helps us keep the lights on. King says, I told you guys the Bucks would get off to a disaster and Giannis of the Warriors would gain steam. The Bucks are blowing it up. Get ready, Nick. Okay, listen, I don't know if the Warriors want Giannis on that team. What do you think?
Yes, I would think they would want Giannis because they're really good, but I believe they have no chance to win a championship right now.
I know.
With Giannis, it gives them a chance, and they have all sorts of depth that they could trade. But I don't know how that would make sense for the Bucks. What they would just it would clear up money for them, or how does that work?
Well, I don't know. I mean, once you get a star like that who wants a trade, then then that's rough, and you lose a lot of leverage. So you kind of maybe want to make a deal, get a bunch of draft picks, and start over, right? Because that's where they'd be. There's no way to.
Mic check.
Okay, I'm back. I think.
Oh, okay.
I had to switch to my Wi-Fi on my house thing. Wow, I'm having some internet problems in my office. So I'll have to get them fixed. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you just froze.
Oh no,
but we're all good now.
Let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me. Okay, are you back, Combo?
Yeah. You hear me? Hello?
I don't know. Maybe refresh. Maybe I should refresh. I don't know. I guess I could try that. Let's see what happens.
Let me answer some questions in the comments. If you guys could still hear me. Can you still hear me? This is my pod now. That's electric cereal. The Bucks cut the stream. Are you guys seeing me or Coach Nick? Can you hear me?
Can anybody hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Can you see me? Okay.
I can see you now.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right.
I'm not frozen. You're not frozen. Okay. But give us a shout out in the comments. Let me know if you can see this because I haven't seen a comment.
I think they said somebody they could see us both now.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry about that. I think that might have been me. Yeah, it dropped out the other day too, and I'm gonna have to make a call and
Electric Cereal said this is my pod now.
Right. I think that people at Bucks had cut the feed, probably, yes. So but let's talk about the Giannis thing because the Warriors, have they ever had a player like Giannis? No, they've never had a player like that dominant who could play the five for them, basically, right? Bogut and Ezeli and Looney, those guys were offensive.
Who's better defensively, him or Draymond?
Oh, wow. Draymond's better, but Giannis, because he's so much longer, like will make plays that Draymond can't make, even though Draymond's arms are so long. Real quick. All right, I'll switch back to my. Are you there? You look like you're there.
Yeah, you're losing connection.
I'm going to switch back to my non-Wi-Fi after it resets, but yes, so I won't be on Wi-Fi in a minute. So bear with us until it starts up again. At any rate, what was I saying? Oh, okay, Giannis. So imagine Giannis and Draymond defensively for them, and then you throw Wiggins out there, and now you got some real good defensive players. Are you talking me? Maybe you talked me into it.
That what? Oh, that Giannis on the Warriors?
Yeah,
of course. Why would? Why?
You know?
Wait a second though, but like. The only reason you would want to not have Giannis is if you believe they're legit title contenders right now, I think.
I say that last part again. We missed it.
I said that the only reason the Warriors would not want to make that trade is if they believe they're legit title contenders right now, because you want to maximize Steph Curry's window, right?
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about that trade, right? Okay, so it's going really badly. The Bucks obviously want to get a lot in return. They probably don't want to make a deal with like an Eastern Conference team, perhaps, to help anybody on that end. I don't know. Although at this point, if they make a trade, get rid of Giannis, that's it. They're giving up and not going to compete the rest of this year. So, okay, so now what does that mean? That means that okay, let's just say the Warriors. Now, what can the Warriors give them back that they would want? Do they have enough?
Yeah, that's interesting. They have just good vets, right? So if you're rebuilding, who would you want on that team? Oh, I guess Kuminga and Moody.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, when the Knicks got Cat, we said you have to trade DiVincenzo, right? Like, you just have to do that trade no matter what, because you needed to shore up that position. So in this sense, okay, if you can get Giannis, I mean, again, Giannis is non-shooter, so you're really going to have two non-3-point shooters in your starting lineup. Wiggins is shooting the crap out of the ball, so he's there. Steph is there, and then whoever else they have in the shooting guard will also be.
Dre was 40% last year, though.
Oh, that's actually true. That's true. And actually, I'm kind of curious. Has he been that way this year? Because he still needs to prove it to me. But let's see here. And again, he doesn't have gravity, but he's shooting. He's shooting 47% from three this year. So you know what? Maybe that's not an anomaly. So now it's only on. Interesting.
But also, like, when you have Steph and Giannis, you should be able to figure out a way to defy the odds of having two so-called non-shooters, right? Like, you could figure out something creatively as a coach. And you have Buddy Hield, who's really shooting it great. And you have the greatest shooter.
And they've done it all these years.
Yeah. And you,
I'm back to my Ethernet. All right, let's see if that works any better, because it was still.
You there?
Are you there? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, they have Buddy Hield, and obviously they have the greatest shooter ever in Steph Curry. So maybe you could defy some of those, shooting liabilities and Giannis's greatness, on top of that.
Well, so obviously, how many first rounders is it going to take? Because we've now seen, what if Rudy got? They got 4 for Rudy, I think, right?
Oh, that's true too. I'm assuming you would have to give up Kuminga too.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's get to that in a second. Let me see here. Golden State Warriors. Is this where it's going to tell me the future draft picks? So they have their own in 25. They have their own in 26. Again, it won't be worth a ton because they're probably going to be pretty decent, but it's something. Then I don't know if they have their first round pick in 20. Oh, sorry. They do have. Yeah, they have a bunch of first round picks. Now, remember, you can't trade your first round pick in consecutive years, I believe, is that rule. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me in the comments. But but they could offer, what you need is someone other picks. The question is, do they have any other teams picks? I don't know if they do. They have looks like they have Atlanta's number 2 in Atlanta in 2026 and number 2 in 2028. This is correct. So that's a problem. They may not have enough number 1 picks to offer, but you'd obviously throw in like King Jaffer saying someone like Wiggins and Kuminga and Melton and picks. That's probably something that they'd want. I mean, Kuminga would probably be who they want because it's a young, potentially good player. I don't know if Melton would be what they want necessarily. And by the way, the Warriors, I'm sure, would be happy to give up Melton if they can get Giannis. That's not a problem. Wiggins is interesting because Wiggins is playing really well. He gives them that X factor. I don't know if the Warriors would want to part with Wiggins because I'm thinking that would be the championship team they would need with Giannis.
You think the Bucks would want Wiggins?
Right. And I think he's probably old. Like, you imagine that the Bucks are going to want to reload, get younger players the whole way through. So, yeah, I don't think so. By the way, the Bucks, interestingly enough, Marks mentions in the comments of Doc and Darvin Ham. It's kind of a bad optic when you cut to the bench and you see Doc and Darvin Ham sitting next to each other. Have you seen those clips?
Yeah. Why? What's so bad about it, though?
It's just the energy, man. It's just I don't know what it is. They looking at each other, and it's just like and when you don't have the shot of Doc grabbing his knees and bent over, which is just the worst. And I don't care if he's got a back problem. Sit down then. But when he does that half the game, it's such a bad energy thing. And then he's sitting on the bench and he looks over to Darvin Ham. And I don't know, man. It's just the energy just doesn't look good at all. And it just visually. And we know what happened to Darvin Ham, unfortunately. And it's like he's looking in the mirror, basically.
Oh, it's like the Spider-Man meme?
I mean, kind of like this. You're next or something. I don't know. It's not. Maybe Darvin should sit like one seat over and have somebody else in between them. I don't know. just to avoid that look when they cut to that. But and then I think Rig Papa says it'd probably be a 3-team deal, and I would probably have to agree with that as well because they're gonna have to find another pick. But nobody wants to trade first round picks anymore, so that's gonna be tough. So I don't know. The only question now, let me just check. I forgot. I know I looked at this before, but Giannis's contract situation. How many years does he have left? Do we know? Let's see here.
I think the Bucks or the Knicks should sign Lonnie Walker.
Where is wait a minute. Lonnie Walker? Yeah, that's interesting. I saw that. He just signed in China, or did he sign?
Somewhere overseas, but he could get bought out. I think there's something in his
contract. Yeah, right. And it's like that is weird. I really wish I understand exactly why he couldn't find a home, this year to start.
He was good with the Nets when I used to watch the Nets.
Yeah. So it's a little. I don't know how to explain that at all, other than I don't know. I really can't. But here I'm looking at his contract. So he's under contract for several more years. Giannis is for 3 more years. And it's you want to know how much he's gonna get paid?
$50 million.
Well, so this year it's 48. Next year it's 54 plus, and then 26, 27 is 58. And then the last year he has a player option for $62.7 million a year in that year. That's insane. And that's going to be tough. Like, I don't know if the Warriors could even get close to bringing that kind of contract onto their books.
Yeah.
That's why Wiggins would have to be part of the deal. And that's probably why we'd have to have a 3-team deal.
Right. Moody and Kuminga are still on rookie contracts, right?
Probably at the end. Yeah, they didn't extend Moody, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken. So, so that's all part of the issue. I don't know if the Warriors are in a position now to make that deal. It might be too hard. And 3-team deals are always really hard as it is. So, is there anywhere else that you're hearing the whispers or
Knicks?
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot.
I haven't seen that. Interesting.
I've seen it a lot. Good. Just Google Giannis Knicks, and there's all types of content. There's all types of content coming out about it.
Okay. I'll have to look into that. But okay, the Knicks. So what would that lineup be, and who are they going to trade to get him?
That is true. That's a good statement.
It would have to be Bridges or something like that. And
yeah. I mean, you asked me who I was hearing. I didn't say it was realistic.
Yeah, I don't know if that works either. Like you like Cat and Giannis. Okay. I don't know. It's like because Giannis to me is and by the way he's averaging career highs. He's playing as well as he has, and they're terrible for that. They can't win.
They made Cat and Rudy work. You can make Giannis and Cat work.
That's what I was actually thinking. Yeah, and that would probably work. Rockets.
Yeah, I mean that works better than Giannis and Dre.
Giannis and Dre, or Giannis and Cat.
Yeah, Giannis and Cat is way better.
Cat's is so bad generally
for two reasons. Offensively, Giannis likes to initiate sometimes, and Cat never really initiates. Dre initiates, right? And then for the shooting reason, Cat's just a way better shooter.
Right. And I'm just thinking defensively as well. That's going to be a problem.
Oh, well, Giannis, they're both good defensively, though.
Cat is not good defensively.
He's not bad. He did solid against Jokic last year. I mean, nobody could guard Jokic, but
okay. I need to watch. They're playing better.
You think Cat is last couple games, you think Cat is not great? You think Cat is bad defensively? I don't.
It's not great, Bob. I did the video. The first several games were not great. And
what was the Wolves? What was the Wolves' defensive rating in the regular season last year?
The Wolves' defensive rating. Okay, that won't be hard to find. Last year, well, that was number one probably. Let's see here.
I mean, Cat was one of the bigs on that team.
Yeah, I mean, but
there's no way. I don't think you could have a number one defense and have like a super weak link at the same time as a starter.
We've seen that, and from that position specifically, we've seen it in the past, in the distant past, that we have. But point stands. Even like right now, where are the Knicks ranked? They're 16th in defense. So
tell the producers to clip this. Is Cat a bad defender? It's good for TV. All right.
Yeah, but meanwhile, so now without Rudy and without the defensive presence they had, man, the other really good defenders. Even though New York has good defenders too around him, they're not doing as well. But we'll give him some more time. We'll see. But I'm just looking at like the ability to protect the rim, the ability to move laterally, the ability to like read and quarterback a defense from the back line. Like he doesn't do any of those things that well. And I worry, but they figure some things out. They've been better, I believe, in the last several games. The Knicks, so and their starting unit has been a lot better. So we'll see. What else are we going to talk about? I know we had. Should we talk about Wemby?
Yeah, I've actually had a poll recently, and I asked who was the better basketball player right now on Instagram, and it was pretty close. Let me look at it. But I mean, like, so my thing is like right now, I think it's really close.
Wait, who are you comparing?
Here, I got it right here. 59% Wemby, 41% Chet. Who's currently the better basketball player? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not really loving Wemby's shot selection right now. His field goal percentage is low. I think he's taking too many threes. And I like that they let him play like a guard. Like I watched a set where they basically had him on the weak side in a flex action where he got a baseline screen cross and they threw it to him and he had a beautiful finish at the rim. But part of me feels like he's better playing with the big man role right now. He's flashing into the post. He's posting up. He's kicking out from the post for threes. That's really good. He's good at passing there. So I'm a little bit worried about. Listen, we know that eventually he will be probably the greatest of all time when he starts doing all the guard stuff, and he gets much better at it. But right now, some of the guard stuff he's doing isn't as effective as the other things. And for this team, he needs to be more effective more consistently. That would be a little bit more of a traditional center role. I'm not saying completely that whole way, but let's just say right now he's doing it like 50-50. I think he's got to be, 70% traditional center and then let him have the 30% guard stuff. I think that'll be a better percentage for him, at least this year.
All great points. Now, Coach Nick, who is the better basketball player right now? Chet or Wemby?
Chet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's very close, but I do think Wemby's ceiling is higher. Chet is a better passer. He's more efficient. He's not as good of a defender, though, even though he's a great rim protector.
I don't know if Chet's a better passer.
Chet's a better passer than Wemby.
I don't know. Wemby,
clearly.
He'll throw passes that are like – he did one on a blind pig. No look. Like what? I can't remember now. He did something.
No. Okay. Sometimes he might get too flashy, but his connective passes, like his feel for when to pass is very good and better than Wemby's.
No, Wemby's feel is better. I think Wemby's feel overall is better than Chet.
As a passer, no, I disagree.
I don't know. Wemby's got that too. That's why Wemby's going to be the greatest of all time.
Primarily because of the passing.
Well, I think primarily because he'll be a 7-6 guard.
Well, his impact defensively, we could start there, is going to be all time off the rip, right? Like that's part of the reason.
But like he'll be able to do the things with crossovers and spin with like anything you want with the ball off the handle.
I think that's
threes.
I think that's good, and that's like his KD component to the game. But I also think there's a lot more to it than just that, right?
Right. Well, I mean, but imagine KD at 7'6". Like that's the greatest of all time. Like because you
he might. Yeah, he might not ever be the shooter that KD is, though. KD's like one of the 3 best shooters of all time, but he's going to be a good shooter, I think, definitely.
I don't know if KD's one of the 3 best shooters of all. I mean, I guess mid range you could if you throw that in there.
All right. I mean, probably Stephen Clay are over him for sure. What we got Bird over him maybe, and Ray Allen and Reggie. He's top 5.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's up there, but But yeah, I would imagine it's a similar kind of way of his game will be like that. But his game, Wemby's game should be even more varied than KD's. He will post up more, and he'll do a lot more of that as well. And that'll make him harder to guard when he does.
Also, he'll be like one of those guys on top of all of that I'm not saying they're garbage points, but he's going to get more easy baskets than anybody else, just being him.
Yeah,
like he's gonna like the ball is just gonna find him, and he's just gonna be able to. It's just gonna. It's gonna look often like a 19-year-old playing 14 and under.
Right.
You know,
he did a Smitty on Nas Reed for a dunk. It was just like it was crazy. It was insane. Like you can never stop that. And like the more they can figure out how to get him in those situations, the better they'll be. And by the way, even when he's missing some threes, those are in and outs for a lot of those. Like they're good misses. And so he's got good touch. So I just think it's a matter of time until he gets to be 36, 37, 38% from 3. Although, watch, he shot.
You know what I'm thinking, Coach Nick? Like, I want to say Chet's better, but if I'm going to the park and I got to take one of them with me to win a game for money, I think I'm taking Wemby.
Yeah, I agree. At the park? Oh, I would have thought you said Chet for the park, and then when it gets really physical and for the game point, that thing you want Chet.
I don't know, man. I'm taking Wemby to the park. He's gonna change. Right. They're both great. They're both great.
Yeah, it is tough, but I think that Chet is probably a little bit more polished right now. But
yes,
no question, the upside for Wemby is higher. And,
I agree. And
I love that. Hey, by the way, I love the matchups. I loved Wemby going at Rudy. That was really fun, and he seemed to take pleasure with that. There's some good highlights, but there's also Rudy got him too. Rudy got some stops. So that wasn't so, whatever. But, when you see a guy like that, who's that tall, and then the guy, they have a defender who's in the range of the same height, that's really kind of crazy to watch, especially when he's attacking from the perimeter. That's just like a different game that we hadn't seen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're in agreement. It's like Chet might be slightly better right now because he's more of a polished player, but the ceiling for Wemby is just like crazy.
Yeah. He will be the greatest of all time. Clip that combo. I can't see any trajectory, especially because we know even with the way he's training, the way he's developed his skill level now, I have full confidence that he will continue to develop.
The problem is, let's say he wins 5 championships, and the Jordan truthers will be like, "Oh, Jordan won 6."
Yeah, that's true. If he gets as good as I think he would, he should put a run on that one. But you know how hard that is. We've seen some of the greatest players of all time never win even one.
Exactly. It's hard to put in team accolades in an individual argument a lot of times. Like I almost think there's too much of an overemphasis on championships won when we're comparing individual players.
I mean, I hear you, but then again, at some point you gotta have some splitting hairs because how else they're all so good. But yeah, I will say, how about this? If we can almost go parallel to this and say basically that he'll be like he'll have the greatest stats of all time. He might end up having like more blocks, more threes, more point. You know what I mean? Like he'll do assists. He'll have all of everything than anybody ever has. And if that's the case, great. And then who knows if he gets the
I think and I also think he probably averages 35 plus at some point. I'm sure.
Right. Like there in my mind, there's no reason he couldn't get average 30, average 8 assists, average 14 rebounds a game, block 3 shots a game. You know what I mean? And then disrupt a whole bunch more. Like that. No one has ever done anything like that level across the board. And so, I would have to give it to him. But you're right. They're going to argue about the number of titles. So, But it'll be great to see when they match up. When do they play again? Do we know? Let's see here, the schedule. So when does OKC play San Antonio? So we missed they already played once. They're going to play again. On the 19th, coming up in 15 in a couple weeks. So in San Antonio. So it's on TNT. We'll have to make sure we watch that one and see how that goes.
Maybe we'll go on live the next day and react.
Yeah, maybe we'll watch it on the playback or something like that. We should get those going.
Yeah, we should get back to that.
All right. What else do we want to talk about as we start to get toward the end of the show?
What did we put on the docket? We got to talk to the producers.
We had Chet, we had Wemby, we had Cleveland, we talked about the Bucks. Did we talk about them a little bit or not? I mentioned them, but we did. I don't know.
No, we did. We said there's the third guy is a huge drop off, especially with Middleton out. I think you're saying that's the big problem.
And the defense, their defense is really terrible. I'm looking at, the starting five isn't that bad net rating wise. It's plus something, +5 maybe. So that's not like the worst thing, but it's like the next played lineup though is a weird one. And I almost have to discount it because it's only played in 3 of the games, but it's played 21 minutes versus the next after that was like 14 minutes. So I think that Doc is struggling to figure out like better 5-man units. I think that's part of the problem too. Their offense sucks. I will say this. They don't run anything interesting at all. Most of the time, it's a high pick and roll right away. And I get it. When you have Dame and you have Giannis in there, you don't need to necessarily run clever stuff. But, when you do a high pick and roll right in the beginning, that's when the defense is in the best position to defend that.
Why not? Why not?
Critical shots that were really tough in that 40 piece.
I think, that's part of the reason why the international game is catching up to the game in the States is because you feel like you have great players. You don't have to run clever stuff. But how about the combination of great players and clever stuff?
Thank you. Yes. And make it easier for the stars, by running the clever stuff. That's why you don't want
to have to defy the odds of your offense. You want the offense to work for you.
You're just throwing fire right now, Combo.
You know what's crazy though? LeBron did defy the odds of his offense and won championships. Like that, a lot. Yeah. Michael had great offense, right?
Yeah, with the triangle offense, when he finally trusted, is when they went on their runs, and so that was a huge thing that Kobe never really embraced, frustratingly so. But like Denver was probably the poster child for that. They were ones who ran clever offense and made shots.
It's like the Serbian national team. We have probably the best player in the world, so let's not run our stuff we've been running our whole life. That just wouldn't make sense. I
got a take for you. So because the offense isn't clever, the bench and role players aren't playing very well.
That's a good take. Yeah, I agree.
And if they were able to do that and leverage the gravity of Dame and Giannis better, those shots would be a little easier and they would score more and then the team would be better, all these different things. 100%. Now, again, Doc might just be sitting on his hands waiting for Middleton to come back, assuming that that's going to make a big difference. I don't know if it will. Middleton,
you got to live it. You got to live in the moment. You got to be better right now.
Right. Well, here we go. We got best friend of the breakdown, Bron, out there. Thank you so much, Bron. Great to see you. He asks thoughts on hiring coaches who just got fired. I think Kenny and Mike Brown came back as better coaches at being an assistant under Kerr. That's interesting. The Kerr tree. It's possible. The Kenny thing in Brooklyn was rough because I don't think it had anything to do with him at all. You know what I mean? He was doing a nice job. They bring in KD. Listen, I don't know what KD said or not or whatever, but obviously before they fired Kenny, they probably asked KD if they thought that Kenny should be fired. And if he had said, no, man, he's cool, I want to keep him stay, then they would not have fired him. So
but I don't think he was anti-Kenny. I just think he had this relationship with Steve from Golden State, right? And wanted to bring him in.
Oh, you know what? Okay. It's something else.
Kenny
was doing. That was it. So
you know what? Maybe things would have been different if Katie was just like, hey, you have the coach here. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Let's roll with that for now. Things might have been different. You never know.
Right. Now, Mike Brown is another interesting point because when he got fired from the Lakers, is that when he went to the Warriors? I think that's right. There wasn't anything in between. because I thought, in Cleveland, yeah, it wasn't great. Like the firing was merited, and then he was able to learn from that point. Now, but the Lakers thing, if you were to compare what he wanted to do with the Lakers and what he's doing with the Kings now, it's almost the same. But the impediment he had was Kobe.
And the impediment was probably LeBron in Cleveland, right?
Okay, fine. Yeah. And so as a result, when he got to the Kings and now they're playing really well and their offense looks really good and they're really clever, it's because they are listening to what he wanted to do. And he wanted to do the exact same thing in 2010. I'm telling you right now, I was at those practices. I saw some of them. Exactly what he wanted to run. So that's another one of those things where Mike Brown was ready to do that in LA, and just the circumstance just wouldn't let him do it. It was a lose-lose situation for him. But there's no question that, being around Steph, being around what they were doing in Golden State, that's all good and positive. I'm sure there could have even been some, communication method modeling by Steve Kerr that they were able to absorb. Because I would have to say, Kerr probably has to be one of the top, communication coaches in terms of being able to be emotionally stable, present the case, get that buy-in, right? That's really important to do, and it's not easy. It's not easy to do at that level, and he's good at that. So now that said, we don't know, the KD buy-in might not have ever really been there, right? And it was always sort of an uneasy balance, and it was tough coming in that way. But other than that, he's had very little issue with that. So yeah, so maybe Kenny learned some things, maybe Mike Brown did too about that. But I'd have to say that as far as their X's and O's and stuff like that, those are always really, really good and ready to go once they got a good situation like they're in now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So great question, Bron. What else are we talking about here? I don't know. Might be time to go eat lunch.
What are you going to eat?
I might have to do Panda. I haven't had Panda in a little while.
Panda and Chipotle. Those are your big two spots.
I don't know. I'm so sick of both of them at this point.
You know what? Chipotle is really good when you haven't had it in a while. I'll tell you that. Yeah,
I guess. But have you felt like Chipotle's quality has gone down? Like even when you go walk in there, it's not.
I thought it was tasty.
It doesn't seem as clean as it used to be. It doesn't. I don't know if that's whatever.
It's probably in the beginning they wanted to make a good impression. Now they just have it. So the rest
of them, over time, people kind of just get a little bit the standards get lax. And
have you ever had the brisket? I don't know if I would trust their brisket.
Yeah, I have not had it, but I'm sure it's probably okay. And then we mentioned I don't know if you saw the report. Popovich got sick and missed. He wasn't able to coach. I hope that that's not anything serious because he's 75 and they didn't. Somebody had a report saying that their sources said he just wasn't feeling well or just needed a rest. Maybe it's COVID at that point, and they just don't want to say it. I don't know.
I hope he's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go to the game now. I'm going to the Clippers Spurs game tonight.
Oh, at the Intuit Dome.
I haven't been. I'm really excited. I'm sitting in amazing seats. It's going to be great.
Oh, you're not going to sit in those seats that's directly in front of the free throw line?
Yeah, right. I'm not part of the wall.
Nick going crazy on the wall.
No, but I think I'm going to be like to the right. I'm going to be like free throw line extended and like in the first section. It's some friend of mine taking me. It's going to be amazing. So I'll make sure you follow my Twitter. I'll tweet out some videos from there during the game.
Oh, nice. You ever thought about doing a full video from your iPhone compilation from your content? It's not a bad idea.
Describe that better. I don't understand.
Okay, use the highlights from your own iPhone, especially if you're sitting courtside.
Oh, yeah, I've mixed it in. I've gone to games and I've covered them, and then I've mixed it all my footage in. Yes, I've done that. I could do that again. I mean, we'll see. I wish they would let me bring my little handheld thing where I can keep it really steady, but probably won't let me do that.
Bring it in a fanny pack. You'll be all right.
Right. Well, no, listen, if I get my credential next time, I can do that. But anyway, we'll see. All right. Well, I mean, listen, good stuff, except for the damn, internet, whatever. But I'll be putting a stern call into the ISP to find out what's the heck's going on.
All right.
Anything else you want to shout out?
Combos Court, an episode of with Bob Ryan dropped today. We talked Buck struggles. What else we talked? Is
covering the whole NBA these days?
Yeah. He actually has a podcast with Jeff Goodman. He still covers the NBA.
Oh, okay. All right. It's not just the Celtics. Okay, good.
We talked a little baseball. We talked who would be your starting five, your all-time starting five. We talked about that. So wherever you listen to Combos Court, you could listen to that.
Okay, awesome. Well, check that out, and thanks for being here. Check out I'll have some videos this week, so please watch them a couple times if you can, and share it with your friends. It really would help me. I appreciate it. I guess.
You know what we talked about? That you would find interesting, Coach Nick. Mazzulla's fighting comments. We haven't talked about that.
Remind me what the comment was.
Oh, he said maybe we need to bring fighting into the NBA, like hockey and how baseball does it. And maybe he said maybe that'd be good for the league. I have the direct quote somewhere, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. And I think
I don't think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we've had some serious injuries in the past, in the distant past, but luckily the line used to be in the 90s. Thank goodness that these players don't know how to fight, because they're throwing hands all over. It's all wild. They don't know whatever. And if somebody really knew how to do it, they would do some damage. So I don't think it's like a hockey thing. I don't think that would benefit anybody, honestly.
And he also mentioned like power play type stuff might be good for the league. Like
now, you know what? That's interesting. 5-on-4 for a minute or two. Like, I don't know. I suppose that could be interesting, but I would be willing to do that. But the only fear is what it's revealing in some respects is not that he's feeling there's an issue right now with the ratings, right? And
how real is that though? Is that real? Is it really down?
Yeah, I saw some of those tweets on the numbers. It looks like, they're just not. It's not as good as they've been in the past, and so that's when you start getting quite a wild ideas to try and figure out how we can juice it up, and that's might not be the best idea either. So,
what do you think about extending? What do you think about extending the 3-point line out?
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier or over the weekend. I mean, here's the thing. I would say half the threes that are taken are taken from 2 feet behind the line now anyway.
Okay.
We should do some sort of analysis of this, but you know what I mean? So that line is sort of not even that line anymore. So I don't know if it would, you'd have to get it back much farther if you're talking about wanting to cut down on threes attempted, right? And then are you going to make the court wider then? Is that what the part of your solution?
For the corner three, that'd be the issue, right? Like, what are you going to do with the corner three? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you make it wider, then you're going to lose a row of seating in the most, valuable seats in the arena. No one is going to agree to that, are they?
Well, there'll be a new front row, one, but two, it might be harder for people to guard, and it might be advantage offense, right? If you get even wider.
That is also true, but think about it. If you go wider court, you have to lose. You're going to lose real estate. Really close now. That front row is really close. If you make it wider, you have to move those seats back, but then that's probably a row that you're going to lose, because then of the front row, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have a one less row. I think how that works. You know what I mean? You can't replace that. So at least maybe you can add a couple extra seats in the baseline because it's wider, but you know what I mean? It's like that. Those are the prime $1,000 ticket seats. I don't know who would agree to that, unless they can they move those several rows in the beginning much closer together, so you have almost no leg room. Maybe you can kind of recreate that row, but I don't know. I think it'd be a problem.
Okay.
So I don't think they're going to do that, but you can move it up and keep the corners, just have a crazier shape where the corners are a straight line, and then it arcs out. But it would have to be, I don't know, it'd have to be 5 feet beyond where it is now to have an effect, I think.
That's not true for all players. It's true for like Steph and Dame, but I don't think that's true for every shooter.
I mean, that's true. A lot of shots are still taken at the line. We'll have to try and ask Synergy or somebody if they can get that data. I'm curious. I do feel like more shots.
Let's say Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, he doesn't shoot from way further out, so he might not take as many threes.
Right. And so the other question then would be would they be able to adjust? And then they'd get that percentage back the way it was.
And then there's even crazier spacing because you have to close out even farther. It might make things even harder, right? Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't necessarily solve. Well, I mean, the key here isn't like, the percentage. It's going to be the attempts. They want to limit the attempts. I suppose that's the only solution.
Right.
I've heard about people saying you can only take X amount in each quarter or whatever. That would be
no.
But I don't know. I don't know if he fixed it that way, but maybe I guess it could be worth trying. Then they moved in for a year. Why not move it back and see what happens?
It would make the defense so weird, right? Like, what if somebody can't shoot a three? That would just change NBA defenses so much.
Well, they have to do more. We need more data on the Luke Cornett contest where you just jump up from like.
I do that. I do that in pickup.
Yeah. Because just pretend that actually had an effect. Then you never need to close out. You just stay in the paint the whole time. Just around the paint. By the way, that would cause
or even if it has a similar effect because you don't use as much energy and you'll be by the rim for a rebound. Even it has the same effect. Right?
I might try that like in a scrimmage of the high school just for fun to see. I mean, the high school shooters aren't really the same level, but I am kind of curious if you end up getting away with that kind of contest, then you don't imagine that you would just shut down offenses because they couldn't get in the paint. And then, but they would still shoot well from three. They shoot something from three, but they might shoot a little bit less than, whatever. It's interesting. So we'll see. But either way, great show today, Combo. Thank you all for everyone being part of this and sticking with us through the internet. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in?